Hello everyone, this is Vio-là. Have you ever worked in a big city where everyone was friendly, but you still felt lonely? Have you ever lived in a small town and been overwhelmed by the violation of privacy by your neighbors? Life in China may give you the answer. There is another form of closeness. As I mentioned in my previous video, Chinese people have very different attitudes towards friend and stranger. In China, there is obvious social distancing between strangers. If you've just met a new friend, and we don't usually call a newly met person as friend, your conversation would be like that in Chinese textbook. How old are you? I was born in 1990. You must be kidding. You look like in the early 20s. Or, what do you do for a living? I work at ByteDance. That's a great job. Thank you. That's very repetitive and routine. Chinese strangers don't talk to each other about serious, in-depth topics. It is unlikely that you talk to a stranger on a train from what books he's reading to the economic cycle, or in a pub talk from what drinks you've ordered to workers are on strike again because their wages have fallen. And strike will never happen in China. Actually, most of the time, strangers in China don't talk to each other in public space. You can sit on a train for 5 hours and make no conversation. In between friend and stranger, there is actually another group of people who play an unbelievable important role in Chinese people's lives, the acquaintance. I understand acquaintance as those who you are familiar about but cannot be classified as friend. Acquaintances in China can have much closer relationship than you think emotionally, especially for those who have to spend time together on a daily basis, such as classmates and colleagues. They can become very close in a very short period of time. In previous time in China, when there was a close relationship among neighborhood, neighbors would lend each other homewares such as seasoner and kitchen stuffs. It is also common to help each other to look after their children, and children who lived in the same building would play together after school, do homework together, and have dinner together at one apartment in turn. People in the same building were like one big family, helping each other and spent most of the time together. It is easy to have close relationships in China since there are so many physical and emotional interactions in people's daily life. I've been back to China for 5 years. I never expected to receive this much attention from others before. I used to think and get used to that the level of closeness with another person depends on your emotional resonance achievement. For example, whether you are interested in the same things, do you have the same hobbies, or whether you have the same views on the same things. But in China, closeness doesn't necessarily depend on these things. It depends on how much time you spend together each day, whether you have similar personalities, and whether you are in the same social group. It's more about physical distance than spiritual. And the physical closeness will soon lead to spiritual closeness. So, if you move to a different environment, such as change a job or move to a new house, your acquaintances will completely change over 2 years. Consider it without judgment, it's actually a different form of social balance. You will always have some people around you and to talk with. You don't have to worry about the loneliness. Your acquaintances genuinely care about how you're feeling, what you've been through, what you're doing, and provide you with advice or help, even if it's time and energy consuming. And since the surrounding people are all like that, it even seems selfish to only focus on yourself because you only care about your own benefit. On the one hand, This closeness provides us with strong emotional support. People's loneliness in China is less than that in other countries. On the other hand, the spiritual resonance between people in China is a scarcity, because we rarely talk seriously or in depth. Except to speak to a person in Beijing, then you have to talk about politics. In the public field, if you want to talk to someone about social issues like what's going on with Gaza war, and he might reply, "Oh, I haven't been paying attention lately because I got fired by my boss, or because my wife just had a baby a few weeks ago." The Chinese are more concerned with the day-to-day aspects of life rather than big issues. I've seen couples who have been together for decades and don't know what's on each other's mind or what their interests are. But still, they live happily together and can have a lifetime of harmony generally. It is strange that Chinese people can be very close together, but with estranged souls simultaneously. It's not easy to be physical alone in China, however, understanding is a difficult task. Being understood has become the ultimate emotional need of the Chinese. If you can understand someone or just act like you do, you can easily gain their trust and dependency. This also plays a role in business negotiations. It is more common to see the impacts of personal emotional feelings on commercial judgments in China. The Chinese are less likely to keep reminding themselves not to be swayed by their emotions, and many may not consider it as a bad thing. Chinese are not good at recognition of emotions as well as the separation of them. This kind of widespread emotional suppression can lead to a desperate need of being understood and affects each decision making, wherever at workplace or at private sphere furtherly, without consciousness. Because of this high level of closeness, most of Chinese people's subject consciousness is relatively weak and easy to be influenced by the values of others. Chinese people may pay more attention to other people's opinions, others' lives, and everything, rather than themselves. In China, it is still common that people get married or have children just because their parents or relatives want them to, instead of falling in love or truly expecting a child. As a result, getting married and having a baby in China usually means pressure, not happiness. Also, young Chinese tend to choose their careers based on stability and popularity rather than what they really like. In college, most Chinese majored in math, physics, finance, and computer science, as you can see. In addition to the language barrier of studying liberal arts, these majors are considered as easier to find a job in the Chinese society. Well, most people don't even know where their passion is after years of stressful study before higher education. In general, Chinese life planning, when and what to do, is largely about conforming to social norms and the judgments of others. It's like you spend your entire life on one task after another, which set by someone else, and you can never stop. After all, I've been so touched over these years in China that I never thought I'd have this much unconditional support from so many friends or even acquaintances. I don't need to be an excellent person or make continuously improvement and still have a lot of close relations. Sometimes this level of closeness can be a little annoyed because of the lack of boundary, but everything is like that. You have gains and losses. So, do you prefer a relationship that is distant but polite, or the one that is close but maybe lack of privacy? Subscribe my channel and leave a message. Let's explore more about China and its real life together.